Hello everyone. Today I am going to be attempting to repair my Qchord. The Qchord / Omnichord is an old instrument that is basically a digital version of an auto harp. An auto harp is an instrument where you press a button and you strum and you have a whole chord. It's the lazy man's instrument because you don't have to shape any chords. They do have their merits though, and they are quite interesting. So yesterday I bought this Qchord off Facebook Marketplace. It was listed for $500 or around that. However, when I contacted them, they said it was no longer working after the floods, so there was flood damage, and they asked if I know anyone that could repair it, and I said I might be able to do so with my little bit of knowledge in electronics. So I came over and I took a look at it, and anyway, she was just planning to throw it out since it wasn't working, so I offered $100 and she accepted it. And there was water damage, and luckily it's only on one of the PCBs. As you can see here, there is a lot of water damage along that area there. And in the power socket, there is also a lot of water damage. So my first thing that I want to do is try remove that power jack and replace that. If that doesn't solve the issue, then I will be adding little bodge cables along all the traces here. And then fingers crossed nothing else is broken. So my soldering iron should have heated up by now. And let's see how I go. So here we go. I've actually put extra solder on it there because putting fresh solder is easier to remove than the old solder. It's got a lower melting point, so when they both melt together it becomes easier to remove. That's almost out. And there we go, I got that out. The good thing though is that there's not really any traces on this side, which makes it a bit easier. Wondering where all that solder was going. It ended up flowing into the back of the jack there. Not that that matters, I was just... Might actually do a little bit more solder than after that. It's going to be about trying to fix up traces if there are issues with them, which I'm not sure. It looks like there potentially is. So I'm needing all this up. So from the way it looks, I don't think it's going to work straight off the bat. I need a screwdriver. It wasn't the neatest solder job. I find soldering old components a little bit more difficult at times. There we go, got it. So I'm reconnecting this, making sure it's in the correct orientation. I'm plugging in a power adapter. I'm not expecting it to turn on. If it does, I'll be extremely surprised. There we go, no, it doesn't turn on. So unplug, unplug, and that means I need to resolder the traces. Okay, my goal right now is not to burn myself and not to brick this. So I need to follow the traces because the traces have now all vanished, and then I'm going to put little bodge cables and then cover that all with solder, so it becomes the new copper traces. So I'm really hoping that this works. I think this would be super duper cool, to say the least. I think it'd be a very fun instrument to play. I think I could use it for my disability support work. People with disabilities, and they have a great interest in music a lot of the time, but they're not always able to play a conventional instrument, so this makes it a lot easier for them. But that being said, people like David Bowie and Brian Eno used the early Omnichords in their recordings. So it's not just a little toy. So I'm soldering the power towards an inductor. I think I've finished all the bodge cables. The thing with bodge cables is they're never neat and tidy. I'm not sure if it's going to focus or not, but you can see that they're like blobs of solder with an exposed wire and just following where the traces used to be. So the issue here was that water got onto the board, it caused the copper to corrode, and the solder mask is lifted up. And as you can see, like there's exposed copper there, which means it might corrode further later on. But I have got all the parts that look completely corroded bodged together, and that's just to do with the power. So now I'm going to try plug it in. We'll see whether my messy wiring is sufficient. The moment of truth. Doesn't look... Oh! Shit, yes. I don't know, I think it's stuck on an auto song setting, which I'll have to change, but it works. I don't believe it. My cheap little crappy bodge cabling worked perfectly. So, no more soldering. Now it's just about reassembling it all. This is the PCB that has the output jack, MIDI in, MIDI out, as well as power in, and then that has a few inductors on it as well as a few resistors, but for the most part it's just those. There's also an extra cable that connects the batteries in, and then after that goes to the main PCB, and the bottom PCB has the buttons. And yes, it's a very interesting little instrument. I found out that there are multiple versions even of this later edition of the Qchord, as this is one of the early ones made in Korea, so this would be like the year 2000, maybe 2001. Actually, it's got this here. How do I read that? So there's dots on both 1999 and 2001. That's really cool. I like that. Actually, it's over here too. So I assume it's 2001, but still sort of odd that it says 1999. I don't fully understand it, why there's 5 dots in the section. Part of it might have been made in July 1999, and then other bits in 2001 in January and August. Yes, so now back to the repairs. I'm going to unplug this. And now, this is going to be fitted over here. Plugging back in the battery pack, so now that whole side is complete. Need to put this back the right way. So if I do it from here, glue towards the end. Now I'm making sure it all just is placed nicely back together. So now we hit power. I'm trying to see what modes there are. So how do I get rid of a backing track? Chord mode. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Success. Bye for now.